Hello, well, I'm back again. Sorry, I'm just going to turn down the volume a bit. I'm back again, and I'm just going to do this little video talking about something that kind of follows on from a video I did about a year ago now, about organisational problems caused by my disability. And what I'm going to do this video about is something fairly different, another side to my disability that I've struggled with as a younger person, and I suppose still struggle with to some extent now, even as a grown man. Right, and that's to do with like unrealistic expectations and delusions. So, yeah, most people who know me know that I have the condition Aspergers Syndrome. Those who have very loyally followed me over the past few years will know that, which I'm very thankful for, by the way. And also due to the Asperger's and my learning disabilities, I have suffered with delusional issues. For example, this goes back to my final years of school after I left the special school I was at, where I think in the opinion it was fair in the end to say I was probably wrongly placed there, but to my parents and to the educational, to the staff at my primary school, probably felt like the right thing to do at the time. But at the end of year 10 I left the special school for good and went to mainstream full time after beginning on a part-time timetable. It was the Easter of 2005. I started on a full-time timetable, and so basically, my unrealistic expectations were caused by my Asperger's. I didn't really understand it. I didn't even know until I was about 16, until it was pointed out to me by my mum after having a close friend at the time who said that he had it, and my mum said, "Yeah, oh, that's what you've got as well." I knew I had autism, but I didn't know which form, what form on the spectrum it was until my mum pointed this out. I had obsessive problems. I developed a huge passion for films, and particularly for documentaries as a teenager. And what I did was, I had this idea. Also, I liked young celebrities, like the young Hollywood celebrities, young actors. And what I thought I could actually do, caused by the learning difficulties and by the Asperger's and not having a good understanding of how the world worked. I mean, not many 16-year-olds do, but I think my condition definitely amplified, my misunderstanding a few more levels than the neurotypical teenager. So yes, I decided I wanted to start making documentaries when I was 16, which I had a go at, but I had this idea in my head that I could make a documentary just like that and have it released theatrically worldwide, or get a DVD release, and thinking I would become famous and would get into the league of of all those young celebrities at the time, which I became a fan of. And I started by trying to make a documentary about my learning difficulties, which I still have the tapes of somewhere. I must get them out and look at them, because back in 2006 they still didn't have video cameras now that are digital with all these fantastic digital hard drives and all that. It was still on the little small cassette tapes. Because around that point was just when DVD was completely taken over from VHS. But yeah, so what happened was, I didn't plan anything. I wasn't convinced you had to. My idea of making a film at the time was that you could get an idea. I had heard of writing scripts, but I wasn't aware for documentaries they did it. I wasn't aware about having years of experience or going to film school or studying media. I knew that's what I probably would end up doing, but I was convinced I could just get out my camera with a little idea and start making a film, which is what I did. I remember quite vividly on a Sunday night, I started by just talking to the camera in my bedroom, and then I'd start talking about school each day, and every day when I got home, and would film myself doing my homework, doing GCSE exam revision, and then also with my hobbies and stuff, I took footage of pages from GCSE revision books. I interviewed people at my steps. The youth club I used to go to, the disabled youth club, I went to, and I did used to tell people I thought this was going to happen, and that I would, get this movie released and become, a teenage success. As I say, it sounds completely delusional, doesn't it? And then I also, I continued making that film. I did a few interviews. I did an interview with a doctor I was seeing at the time for anxiety, and also I interviewed a connections worker who worked with me in my school, and I interviewed my science teacher. I interviewed my parents. So what happened was, I used to get really, really upset and frustrated when I was told that this wasn't likely to happen, because I actually just genuinely believed it would. I believed I could do it, that I could get this film out once it was all edited and put together. I could get this film released. And at that same year, after I finished my GCSEs, just after, before the summer before the results came in, me and my family were going on this round the world trip. A small sort of 6-week round the world trip. We went to see our relatives in Australia and New Zealand, and we also then stopped in San Francisco and LA at the end of the trip for 6 days, so 3 days each, in the Californian cities. And when I was in LA, what an experience this was, going on a trip like this at 16. Particularly going to LA, that's where I really wanted to go, and walk along the Walk of Fame, do the celebrity bus tour, and just experience, what it was like. What I planned to do on that trip was, I was thinking, my mum told me it would be a good idea to make a film about a young disabled boy on the autistic spectrum, an autistic teen with other disabilities, and just to see what the experience is like going around the world and film what happens to you, which I did. And as usual, I didn't plan anything, which comes back to the organisations, but also just not understanding how to do stuff like that at the time. I had no practical knowledge. I had any practical knowledge of very few things at the time. I had this idea that I could turn this into a TV series, doing one episode for each location. And the idea I had in my head was that I could do an episode, I'd make this little TV series, and that it would be aired and then would become a success. The same thing as the previous film I tried making, which for the film about my learning disabilities, I shot hours and hours of footage for over several months. I think one of the last things I filmed for that was actually me opening my GCSE results, finding that I had done quite well, much better than had been expected. Though I didn't quite get the grades I wanted to go to sixth form. Coming back to the end of that trip. Around that time, when that trip ended, and I started going to college, and I then began to realise I studied media and started to learn more about the industry. That course, the first year, didn't go too well because I was very obsessive and I didn't listen to people. I just wanted to be doing the same thing as everyone else. I was adamant that I was going to get 5 C's at GCSE. and go to sixth form to do A-levels. I was just obsessed with wanting to do what most people I knew were doing, and didn't feel I'd feel comfortable doing anything else. But of course, that did backfire with the stress of the the level 3 National Diploma in Media course. But I did begin to realise that my work I'd done in that last school year wasn't good enough to be released. So then I began to look at it as good practice, and that's what my mum said when I spoke to her about it, that it was good practice. So I still suffered, of course, from unrealistic expectations, like trying to get more work, or trying to get more, or trying to do the full extended national diploma at college, which I was being encouraged not to do because it would be too stressful. My original aim was to do the national diploma, but due to the stress with the constant work and the deadlines, I ended up having to take a lot of sick time off. And in the second year of the course, in the second year of the course, the timetable was reduced, and I was much happier and got more support. The thing was, because I didn't want to go and look at any other courses while I was still at school, I couldn't get any proper, I had to apply. I applied for this course really quickly at the last minute before the college term started that year, and I didn't get the proper support in place. So in the second year, I finally did things sorted out. I still like the idea of becoming a bit famous in some way, but I realised, my film projects weren't going to be good enough. My mum had encouraged me to, perhaps, at the time they had a programme on Channel 4 called The 3 Minute Wonder, like try and edit just 3 minutes together. And nowadays, that would be something I'd be quite happy to do. I was just adamant I could make like a 90-minute documentary, get a DVD release, or even get a worldwide theatrical release, I thought at one point, and then have a TV series, and, So I sound like, I know I sound completely delusional, but I was, and I want to talk about it. That same year, when I was taking sick time off of college, I started writing a book about my disability, thinking that might be a more realistic option, but I was quite adamant that it should be published. And plus, with all the stress of college and not feeling good about myself, I just wanted something to make me feel good about myself. And I was thinking, if I could be a young, successful author, going from the films to writing, I just thought I would feel good. It would feel like an achievement. But I was still very young at that time. So over the years, when I finished college at the end of 2008, of course this recession started, and I wasn't able to find work for a long time. Currently, I'm not working now. I've been out of work for several years. I'm not particularly worried about finding work at the moment. I will definitely try and look for work. I've tried so hard for the past few years since I came out of my last paid job in 2015, which I got made redundant from. But I'm quite happy. I still have anxiety. I do still have anxiety, and that's linked to the Aspergers. So I know that I'm always going to have certain insecurities because I have, Aspergers and learning difficulties. But I'm feeling a lot more relaxed now. The unrealistic expectations have died down. I've just learned to take things day by day, and not put limits on things, which is a huge problem I had when I was a young teenager, even as a younger adult. 30's not exactly old, is it? But but I have learned just to take things day by day, make the most of your time. And, through doing that, I've been able to develop very good skills. I'm comfortable now. I've got learning methods I can use I'm comfortable with. I know that I am a visual learner, mainly. And I can also, I use audio books you know, audio, different types of audio and visual methods to learn, which has really transformed my life. So, yeah, as I said, I still get ideas in my head, and I think I always will, but I can learn to block them out and just try and find realistic and sensible things to hope for and work towards. So yeah, so that was mainly the topic of this video, as I wanted to talk about, you know, in the past, unrealistic expectations and delusion. So, yeah, so that's the video. Okay, so you're all awesome. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye.